Well, my pretties, Gormac back here with another video. This one's going to be a little different. We're going to be doing a discography review and a tribute to Huntress and Janus. I was introduced to Huntress at Mayhem Fest 2013, walking onto the grounds at Ontario Place. I heard this banshee-like scream coming from the stage, and as I walked around the corner, I saw this tall, beautiful woman screaming her head off, and this incredibly tight band behind her just kicking ass. They were amazing. Later in the day, went to their tent, spoke with them for a little bit, and they were really friendly. From that moment, I became a fan. This was during the Starbound Beast tour, and I went out, grabbed Starbound Beast, went back and grabbed Spell Eater. I've been a fan ever since, and even their last album, which I'm assuming this is going to be their last album, Static, it spoke to me on a very personal level. I've been battling a very bad depression for about a year now, and when I mentioned this on Twitter last fall, two musicians reached out to me. The first was Michael Sweet from the band Striper, and the other was Jill Janus. And Jill and I had a number of Twitter conversations. She talked to me about her depression and things she did to try to work through her problems. A lot of things she told me I've been trying to use myself. So with her passing last week, this one hurt a lot. It hit me really hard. Joe was a character, but she was sweet. I remember mentioning to her on Twitter that the last time she was here with Lamb of God, that I wouldn't be coming to the show, and she said she was bummed. She was hoping to hang out, and you know, she loved my tag name, which is, you obviously know, it's Gormac. She thought that was hilarious. She thought that was a cool name, and yeah. So Jill, this video is for you. Your fans, we love you. For Blake and the rest of the band, we're so sorry for your loss. We know this is not easy, and you know, we're all gonna support you guys in whatever you do. So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna review the 3 Huntress albums that did come out. I'm gonna tell you what I think of them. There'll be no scores. I'm just gonna tell you why I like each one. And yeah, so here we go. The first album, obviously everybody knows, it's Spell Eater. I didn't hear this album first. A lot of people heard this album first. I actually heard Starbound Beast first, which is Huntress' second album, but I'll talk a little bit about Spell Eater. I don't go to this album usually first. This is a very raw record, in my opinion, with Huntress. It's got some great songs on it, and it shows a new band finding their way, but it has some very interesting work on it. So if you decide, you know, you want to honor Jill by buying her discography, don't miss this record. It's a really good record. Huntress is one of those bands that, in my opinion, never made a bad record. Yes, they only made 3, but this is a great debut. So now, the second Huntress album, Starbound Beast, with you know, the one thing I liked about Huntress was the artwork was very mystical, and you know, that was Jill, right? She was a witch, so you know, we all know what Jill was about. So I really love this album. When this came out, anyone who followed me on Twitter probably knew I loved this album, because pretty much every single day I would tweet about this album and tweet about Huntress and how people needed to listen to this album. This album came into my life at a very dark time. A very, very dark time. And this is one that kept me up, kept me going. Her voice on here is just, I don't know, it's almost like she was possessed. It was incredible. And then you also have the great song that she wrote with Lemmy, that Lemmy wrote for her, called I Wanna Fuck You to Death. It's funny because it has that Lemmy charm, but it also had Jill's charm to it. That's pretty funny. And I remember my daughter and I were watching an interview with Blake and Jill, and they basically said that this song is kind of like a song for all the weirdos, because it was getting weird. You know, Jill was a beautiful woman, but for the fans, like, we got to see another side of her, where she was a beautiful soul. She was a troubled soul, but she treated her fans like gold. I honestly can't name another band that I can think of off the top of my head that treated their fans as well as this band did. And then lastly, the last Huntress album, this is Static. One of the things about this album, like in the liner notes, they have the famous Huntress van. I always thought that was a nice little touch they put in the booklet here. They got a nice picture of the guys with Jill in front of the van. I thought that was pretty neat. I remember when I was talking to Jill, I asked her once on Twitter, what's it like to tour in a van with 3 dudes? And she's like, it stinks. It's smelly. It's gross. They fart all the time. So, you know, she had a really good sense of humor. This album is very dark, which we all know. The other day, I also have these albums on my phone. So the other day I was sitting there and I put this on, and I paid attention. And considering what's happened to our beloved Jill, this is one hell of a way to go out. This record is I don't even know how to describe it. This record makes me feel a lot of weird emotions. And now that she's gone, I don't know. So, that's the Huntress discography, guys. We got 3 albums, and as far as I'm concerned, all 3 albums are special in their own way. So, to close this video out, as I always say to you guys, keep your stick on the ice, be good to each other. And you know what? Have a shot for Jill tonight. Everybody grab a shot Jaeger, or, you know, eat some pickles, because Jill loved pickles. Something like that. Do something that, you know, reminds you of Jill. Put on one of these albums. Rest in peace, Joe. We love you. We're all gonna miss you. And I hope you found the peace you needed. And to Blake and the band, we love you guys, and we look forward to what you guys are gonna do. So, until next time, guys, for our Mac House.